Good morning. Though I would technically agree with you that you really don't need too much faith when the evidence is right there. Scripture states that the glory of God is in His creation, that every day people see the miracle of life, creation, and still don't believe. So even just because you have the evidence doesn't necessarily mean that you'll believe it. For example, a friend of mine, when I was in high school, his mother was a horrible, and I mean horrible, chain smoker. She never had to light a cigarette because when she was halfway done with one, she would light it with the other. So she never had to light a cigarette for years. They just kind of went that way to where she could get enough ash to set up the next morning where she could get the newest cigarette to start up. Well, she was a Christian, but she did not believe that God could heal people. She believed that God just does not heal people anymore. That He healed people in the Bible, but He just doesn't heal people anymore. He just decided to quit doing it. As you know, there are denominations that do believe this. Now, as a chain smoker, she did get the news from the doctors that a lot of them get. She got lung cancer, and it just wasn't a beginning stages. It was stage 4, and that she was given just mere months left to live. Now, again, remember, she's a Christian. She sees the evidence in the Bible that God heals. She has heard of personal testimonies of people who have been healed from things, and still God does not heal, is her judgment, is her decision, even though all this evidence is in front of her. Now, here's the kicker. She finally goes to a church that does believe that God still heals today. Goes to her friend's church who teaches this. She asks that her fellow friends who are Christians who do believe in the healing that God still does today, and had them anoint her head with oil and pray that God would forgive her sin of destroying her temple, her body, with these cigarettes. And that not only would He heal her lungs completely from this cancer and make her cancer free, but that He would remove the addiction that this cigarettes has had on her for over 30 some odd years. Now here's the kicker. She went to sleep that night, woke up the next day, and was in no pain whatsoever. Was curious why she wasn't in any pain, and was kind of concerned if maybe this was a turn for the worst. So she went back to her doctors. They did all the tests all over again, even though they said, ma'am, you were just diagnosed a month ago with stage 4 cancer. Here's all the pictures showing that both of your lungs are destroyed. You know, we get this all the time. People go to these so-called healing churches and think that they've been prayed for and they've been healed. But ma'am, that just doesn't happen anymore. That's just something that doesn't happen. So she said, look, I'm paying for these tests. I say redo the tests. They redid the tests. Not only was both of her lungs healthy, they said it was like they were looking at brand new lungs that had never had a day of breath before in their life, and that they were like brand new lungs you would find in a baby. They were perfect lungs. And they said, ma'am, how is your not smoking going? And she said that was the first time she had realized that she had not had a craving, nor did she even smoke a cigarette in 7 days. Well, 5 days, because she went to church on Sunday, saw the doctor on that upcoming after that Sunday, on that Friday, so 5 days. Not had a craving for it, didn't have a wanting for it. So, here's the thing. God healed her, not only giving her brand new lungs, or healing her lungs to the point of when she was first born with these lungs, but also healed her from her addiction of the nicotine. Now here's the thing. You would ask her, did God heal you? And she said, oh yes. And then you'd ask her, does God still heal today? And she said, well, He healed me this one time, but He doesn't heal people. She herself was her own evidence that healing still exists, and she would admit that she was healed, but God did a one-time favor for her, but he doesn't heal anymore, and she still would not believe that God heals. Just because you have the evidence doesn't mean that you're going to believe. So that's why I believe that, yes, even though you may have the evidence, you still need to have the faith.